On Kush, I want to go back to the president's tweet here. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. That is a quote from the president. So yes, we are.
That just happened. That is a real post from the sitting president of the United States on Easter Sunday. Now, before you think this is about tone or decorum, stop. This isn't about bad language. This isn't about being rude. This is about something far more serious. Because buried inside that post are statements that former federal prosecutors are calling a public declaration of intent to commit war crimes. Let me break down exactly what was said and why the legal and political fallout from this moment could be historic. In the days leading up to this post, the Trump administration had already been making a series of announcements about its military campaign against Iran. They said they knocked down a bridge they claimed was military but that civilians used. They announced they would be targeting power plants. The president himself reportedly said, and I want you to hear this clearly, Tuesday will be power plant day. Targeting civilian infrastructure, that is not a military tactic. That is, under international law, a war crime. And now you have the President of the United States going on Truth Social and saying, you'll be living in hell, with a mocking religious taunt attached. On the holiest day of the Christian calendar, from the self-proclaimed leader of the Party of Christian Values. Let that sit for a second. Now here's where it gets worse. When this post dropped, Trump's own staff had no idea it was coming. That's not an editorial opinion. That's what White House insiders are telling reporters. According to reporting from Time magazine, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles is allegedly being kept in the dark. Her team is getting a rose-colored version of what's actually happening in Iran. They are reacting to what Trump does after he does it. They find out when he posts on Truth Social. They find out when he goes off script at a press conference. They find out when you find out. Now ask yourself, who is telling the president what he wants to hear? Who is feeding him a version of this war that is sanitized, inflated, and disconnected from reality? And what happens when the most powerful military in the world is being directed by someone making decisions in real time based on incomplete information with no staff sign-off on Easter Sunday? Watch what the MS Now panel said the moment this broke.
It's very difficult for me to process this moment. I mean, this is a very unprecedented statement. We have the President of the United States basically declaring his intent to commit war crimes, right? You've accurately described the law. You're not supposed to be targeting civilian infrastructure, even in countries that you are nominally at war with. And this is just a further escalation of the Trump administration's sort of lack of interest in domestic international law, right? It started with the boat strikes off the in the international waters off the central, right? Then we got the deposing of the Venezuelan president. We had the war in Iran, and now this, which is disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful, coming from our U.S. president. And the language is disgraceful. The claims are disgraceful. This is, I mean, this is a historically terrible communication. This is the sort of thing, I hate to say it, that you would expect to be introduced in a war crimes tribunal in the future.
Yeah. Actually, I just want to weigh in quickly because David Rode, who was just on with us, sent one of our producers his reaction to this tweet, and it's very insightful. This will offend Iran's hardline jihadist leaders. It doesn't frighten them. Bullying religious extremists who want to become martyrs doesn't work. He says he's witnessed this in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Just to we also want to make a clarification. 1 p.m., the press conference will be tomorrow with military leaders in the Oval Office.
With the president. Laura, I know we're supposed to be talking about who the next attorney general is going to be, but this right here from the president of the United States, were it anyone else, we would be talking about the 25th Amendment. People in Congress would be raising hell. And why do I get the feeling that neither one of those things is going to happen? I know this is just breaking, so you haven't even had a chance to work your sources here. But when the president does stuff like this, incendiary things like this, is there any behind-the-scenes panic from his staff that what he's doing is really undermining his presidency, but also America's standing in the world? Any kind of panic
and safety.
There's some panic. I mean, there White House staff who have worked for President Trump, whether it's during the first administration or now, will acknowledge that half the time, probably more than half the time, they are reacting to what he is doing. They are learning about what he is doing when he does it, when he posts it on True Social, when he says something different in a press conference, when he goes off the cuff on speeches. That is him deciding. You can see it play out when reporters are asking him questions about the war as well, that he is sometimes just deciding in that moment what he wants to say or what he wants to pursue. Now, to your point, yes, I think that your assessment is right. Are we going to see Republicans running out saying this is
unacceptable,
frightening, and that we actually should support a war powers vote? No, you're not going to see that, because there are plenty of Republicans who have also encouraged the president to take more aggressive action, namely someone like Lindsey Graham.
And we should point out this is coming out on Easter Sunday.
From the leader of the party of family, the leader of the party of Christian values, like, that matters. And I think, like, the fact that we are not going to see not just the Republicans that are in there, but folks around the country who say that who say all of these things about queer people and how gay people getting married that are gay are ruining the country and they don't care about God and Jesus. On Easter Sunday, this is what your president.
I don't think it's an accident. What is this praise be to Allah line?
Exactly.
This is not. He doesn't care about Allah. He's obviously poking at them. And the increasing rhetoric around this war being some sort of divine proposition for the American people is offensive. Unconstitutional, sort of at odds with our constitutional core, and it's very dangerous, as we're seeing from this tweet. It just risks incredibly serious escalation and even more harm to civilians in Iran, which is something we rarely talk about, and the U.S. government does not seem to care about, but most normal people do.
Also, to David's point earlier, if there was any chance of any kind of diplomatic negotiations, I think we're far beyond that now, given the fact that you have seen Iran also poke the U.S. with, sarcastic comments, and the president is responding now with the praise be to Allah, clearly intentionally trying to aggravate the Iranian
And also, the president wants this. Like, the president and his team, want us to be, kerfuffled and upset and mad about what he tweeted, because they think that so much of this is like a game, right? Like, can you get the media riled up about what we're saying and what we're doing?
War Crimes Tribunal. That's not a pundit throwing around buzzwords. That is a former federal prosecutor, someone who has spent their career inside the legal system, saying that this one Easter Sunday Truth Social post, is the type of evidence that gets introduced at The Hague. Now, let's be clear about what the law actually says. Even in active armed conflict, you cannot deliberately target civilian infrastructure. Power plants, bridges used by civilians, water systems, these are protected under international humanitarian law. It doesn't matter if you're at war. It doesn't matter if they started it. The moment you announce you are going to destroy those targets, you have crossed a line. And the president didn't whisper it. He didn't hint at it in a closed briefing. He posted it publicly with his name on it on Truth Social for the world to see. And where are the Republicans? Where are the members of the party that spent years talking about the rule of law? Where are the people who said no one is above the Constitution? You know where they are. They're quiet. Some of them, like Lindsey Graham, have actually been pushing for more aggressive action. The 25th Amendment isn't being discussed. War powers votes aren't happening. Nothing is going to happen. And that silence, that calculated, deliberate silence, is its own kind of statement. There's one more thing that needs to be said. The praise be to Allah line. Trump doesn't care about Allah. That's not devotion. That's not respect. That is a deliberate taunt designed to provoke Iran's leadership, designed to humiliate, designed to escalate. And here's the thing, it won't work. Former national security experts who have operated in Afghanistan and Iraq have already said this directly. Bullying religious extremists who want to become martyrs does not frighten them. It emboldens them. So not only is the post legally dangerous, it may be strategically counterproductive. And if there was any remaining chance of diplomatic back channels reopening, any quiet negotiation track, that chance is gone now. Because when you mock someone's religion in a public post, you're not leaving a door open, you're welding it shut. Here is where we are. The President of the United States posted a profanity-laced, religiously taunting threat against a country we are at war with. Inside that post, statements that align with what international law defines as war crimes. His own chief of staff reportedly didn't know it was coming. His own staff is reacting in real time, just like the rest of us. A former federal prosecutor went on live television and said this is the kind of thing that gets introduced at war crimes tribunals, and the Republican Party is silent. This isn't about left or right. This isn't about liking or hating Trump. This is about whether the leader of the most powerful country on earth can publicly announce plans to target civilian populations and face zero accountability. Because if the answer to that question is yes, then something has fundamentally broken, and no amount of Easter Sunday silence is going to fix it. If you made it this far, you already know this story matters. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Because this war is far from over, and neither is the accountability question.